The reign of terror is almost done. Boris Johnson has agreed to step down as the leader of the Conservative Party. We were going to have a new prime minister. He hasn't resigned. Just for those who are listening, he has actually not officially resigned. He has agreed to step aside. Now, I think that's very telling. But we're going to talk a lot about that, about the big con Conservatives. Joined, as always, by Matthew on my right.
Hey.
Got Craig.
Yeah.
And, of course, Zion is here. Bless us with some wisdom.
Hey,
you know, let's start right at the beginning. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. This government are rubbish. Like, how many years have you had the Conservatives? From I remember when Nick Clegg, Liberal
Clegg.
Democrat leader, you had one job, buddy. One job.
It's all your fault.
One job. One job. Oh, you know, we're gonna give university students free tuition, right?
Uh-huh.
And then what happened? You had one choice. You had two choices: side with Labour or get in bed with the Conservatives. David Cameron was like, "Oh, you know what, mate? Join us. Trust me. Trust me. David, really, you sold us down the river. Fees went from $3,000 to $9,000. Tough times. But that's not the only thing Conservatives like to do. They love to kind of take away our money. And it's been a really, really tough time these last few years. Mm-hmm. I want to start with you, Zion. When you heard the news that Boris Johnson was no longer Prime Minister, I'll say it that way, because again, he's not resigned.
Yeah.
Just stepped down. What did you think about it? And then what are your general views about this government?
I feel like this government has gone downhill for a long time. Every single week has been an issue. People have been fighting each other. People on their own team have been warring. That's how you know Boris was going to quit, okay? From time your own team don't even like you, that says a lot, okay? These people were supposed to be backing you, and how could they? They just turned on you, okay? And didn't care. And I was like, he's going to stay. He's going to fight. But what did he do? He quit. He said, you know what? My hands are up. I'm out of here, okay? Well, yeah, we have to see. Honestly, we have to see what's going to happen. And, I don't know. I don't know what's to happen for the future.
Yeah, I think that's a really big point about the future.
You know, I just don't know. You know, I don't know who's going to be next in line. You know, they're still arguing since this morning. I've been doing the madness. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing. Like, who's going to be next in charge? What happens now? Because there's a lot of question marks as to what happens to the country. What's kind of ironic is off the back of the news of Boris's stepping down, I refuse to say he's resigned because he never said it himself. I mean, I will read out what he said in a bit. He didn't say I resigned, but I'll read out in a bit what he said, yeah? And I'm making a point of this because he's not done yet, which is really concerning for all of us, but he's not done yet. But yeah, I think looking forward to the future and what happens next is going to be very interesting. The pound was up against dollar off the back of the news that he was no longer PM or going to leave being PM. So that was quite positive. The economy was like, yay, change. I guess for you, Craig, when you heard the news, like, what was your take on everything with actually, let's not even go there. What do you think about Boris Johnson's leading this country these last few years?
Shambles.
Yeah.
Absolute shambles. After we did in lockdown, when all of us were suffering with the whole COVID and telling us to stay in our houses and keep safe, he was having parties. How can you respect someone having parties telling us one rule for us and one rule for him? Who do you think he is? Nah, I wasn't happy about that. And the way how everything has gone up, like inflation and everything has gone up, like the cost of living has gone up, all petrol prices have gone up. Everything's gone up, and there's no explanation why things have gone up, and our wages are not going up. I can understand if our wages go up and the cost of living goes up, it can level it up a bit. But our cost of living has gone up, and everything's gone up. It's hard to survive.
Yeah.
So people are suffering, and they say there's loads of jobs out there available, but are they really going to people? The lot on unemployed people right now that want jobs are not getting jobs, and there's the jobs available, and a lot of people are suffering, and they don't really care.
But is it a thing with those jobs that the jobs are out there, they're not qualified for? That's also the other thing as well. You can have a lot of jobs, but if you ain't qualified for it, what's the point in giving it to you?
That's true, but then again, if they have all these jobs available, they should find a way how to have a criteria, like a training, so where they can train up these people to get the qualifications, to get the job, so how more people be employed. So they have to find ways. There must be a loophole where they can do something to get people employed. So
Yeah, because a lot of people were made redundant during that time, so it's difficult for people to just go into a field and a next field that they don't know nothing about.
Yeah.
So it's important for them to, like Craig said as well, to get people trained and because there's a lot of people that are getting turned down for jobs, and it sets another thing as well, because it's like people become depressed. And then it's just like one thing after the other, and then people end up on like mental health, and then there's a long line of that, and it's a lot. So I completely agree with you. People should be getting training, honestly.
Yeah,
It's sad.
I think that's a great point you made about like mental health support as well. I think obviously lockdown has had a massive effect on a lot of people. I think we can all agree that this government has they've had to make some difficult choices. I'm obliged to say that. But they've also made some really bad ones and some very dumb ones. And you mentioned, Matthew, you kind of flickered about it in terms of like cost of gas prices and everything else. How have you found things like, let's just say from January onwards? Because I feel like everything it wasn't okay, but it was like tolerable post-lockdown.
Yeah.
We had that kind of happy bounce.
Yeah.
And then January came around. It's kind of just like started to dip like a bad roller coaster.
Well, on the kind of petrol prices, for those of you who don't know, I love my cars, I love my driving and things like that. So never mind from January, this kind of started back in October with the first kind of fuel crisis, when apparently there was no fuel for miles, and people were getting jerry cans, boxes, bins, even carrier bags to get fuel in. So at one point the fuel was fine, but we couldn't get to it. Then we have the next extreme, which I'm having recently, a lot of motorway driving, where we have fuel but no money. So for one point, the car I'm in right now costs £50. Would normally cost me about £50 to fill from empty. To last week, with about a quarter of a tank left, not needing to refuel, it cost me £72. That's without it being empty. So anyone who's good with maths, I'll let you say with that one right there and then. And one of the main problems, and one of the big screw ups they've had under this government, as well as the fuel prices, as well as people not being able to buy basic food. I'm not talking switching from one source to the next. I'm talking where your literal thing is like, I'm going to buy milk and bread, sometimes milk or bread. Having decided between the two, especially when you have family with young children and things like that, it's a nightmare as well. And we go back to the lockdown, people have been made redundant and furloughs and everything like that. Industries that suffered, like the arts, retail, hospitality, have taken such a hit for people who, for their lives, who were told, you work and you build yourselves up for 20, 30 years into this job, only to be told the next minute, yeah, by the way, we've got no work for you. Sorry. What does that mean for the rest of us? What does that mean for them? Like, I've still got to work. I've still got to put a roof over my head. To say, was it retrain, resomething, and resign of everything in 3 simple words? You can't do that with 3 simple words. This takes time. It can take months. It can even take years.
Yeah.
It kind of one of the issues I've had with this particular government is that it's like they live on a cloud. They seem delusional to what happens to other people around, but aren't them. For you, failure, there's a safety net there where you can still earn a decent wage and protect your family. Failure for people for everyone else, it means literally you're losing your house, you're losing the lot. And I just think that there's that. I think with politics, and we've had for a very, very, very long time, is that kind of there's that what's the word I'm looking for?
They don't care about the working class.
They're relatable. Being like relatability, the people your blue collar workers. How you can't share our struggles, but you're responsible to make sure that everyone gets a fair chunk of the pie. It's not a fair chunk of pie if only 10% get that chunk. being the people that are in your surrounding. That's
Yeah.
one of the main issues that I've had. Go back to what you said about Nick Clegg. He had one job 10 years ago and it's slowly been getting worse. I remember being on that street on those protests. I remember being there. I remember the promises that were made. So being there when you're trying to, show care for other people for 10 years later, then be like, oh, it's looking where it's gone. You're bound to feel some kind of, feel some type of way about it. So, and that's before we get into the protests as well. We're seeing more and more protests, more and more protests. And this was never really an issue. There's probably been more protests in this 1 year than the previous 5. So where we could go on with this.
Yeah.
We could point at so many holes, but we've only got so much time. So yeah, where do we start? Really and truly.
Well, let's start at the very beginning of. Let's go back to 2020 March.
Oof.
That's a very good time.
Oof.
I feel like that was the beginning of the end for Boris Johnson for me personally. Yeah, because that's when, we were seeing what was happening in continental Europe. We were seeing the cases in Italy. We were seeing the news of the virus. I'll call it that because YouTube doesn't like you to use the actual name of it because then they put a disclaimer, the virus. And it was just the fact that it wasn't being treated with the seriousness that it needed to be treated. Like we just weren't doing anything. It was almost like we were waiting for disaster to strike before we acted. Then disaster really struck, went into lockdown. And I think from that point on, it was almost like they were scrambling as to what was the best course of action. Then it was a case of what do we prioritize? Do we prioritize people's lives? Do we prioritize healthcare? Sorry, put it that way. Do we prioritize healthcare or do we prioritize the economy? And it seemed to be like it was a choice between one or the other. Why couldn't it be both? There was a middle ground you could have found where you could get both, to have had a better outlook on it. But I guess looking from your experience, Ian, of like lockdown days and stuff, what would you say is one of the things that you look back on and feel like if the Prime Minister or the government had been a bit stronger on this, it would have made things a lot better for you?
I feel like if they had followed the rest of the other countries like Italy, like France, I think when it started in China and all European countries were not taking it seriously. They was like, oh yeah, that's just them. Yeah, they ain't even near us, yeah. But then it started happening in Germany. And then I'm thinking, wait, these are like an hour down the road. So in your mind, naturally, common sense is like, I need to go into the office and have a sit down with these guys at number 10. Let's sort this out because this is gonna, you know what I mean? But they're just like, oh, everything's fine, go about your business. Everyone's still going to work. Nobody's panicking. And we were having cases already. So everywhere in March, there was so much like where people were like, oh, okay, I'm sick. All of a sudden, you're hearing from your friends or whoever that they're getting sick and stuff. We're just thinking it's a common cold. It's March. It's freezing. Okay, nothing. But then to find out that some of them already had COVID and we're still going out, it was ridiculous. So I felt like they should have been able to lock us down from time. It should have been done from like February. I think it's because we heard it. I think it was from January we started hearing all these random numbers and then apparently some people are dying and we're just like, oh, okay, this is nothing new. People die every day, B. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's, I just felt like they should have done it. They should have locked us down from the time the other countries were literally in like, no, we have to do this now. And they were done. That should have been us. So the effect of that, a lot of people lost their loved ones because of them. That's just my opinion. I feel like I slightly blame them for their decisions. A lot of people lost their lives because of their stupid decisions. And that's just what it is. And, those people could have been here today. So, yeah, it's pretty sad. When you look back and think like the amount of thousands that could have been here, it's just like, and the thing is you couldn't even be with those people in the hospital either. So it's like, I can't imagine that, So yeah, that's what I think about it.
Yeah. And I think for me, just that point you're saying about not being able to be there for people in hospitals, I think that's what makes
it worse. Yeah.
Everything worse. Even when the whole Partygate thing came out and we heard about all the lockdown parties
Yeah.
and the it's a business meeting, or we had cakes, and then all of these parties that the government that happened at Number 10 and then the surrounding kind of offices and stuff. It just, to me, it was like the audacity. Like, how dare you? Like, you're telling us we can't. Someone's passing away.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't go. Or if they have died with COVID, only
certain people.
Or
yeah.
if they have died with the virus, only some of you can go
To the funeral.
Yeah.
Like, no more than
I think
8.
it was like, yeah.
Isn't it like 30
At
people,
first it was
no?
4. No, at
Yeah,
first
it was
it went
four.
from 8 to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it got so bad, and then because you could catch it, you can't be near the grave.
Yeah.
You have to be like a certain distance, and it's like, it's just ridiculous. It was really, really bad.
And all the while,
Yeah.
And all the while, these lot are having a jolly up in Number 10. So I feel like all of these things just compounded. Me personally, I don't even think it should have come to the actual scandal that's gotten him out of office, which we'll get to in a bit. I feel like from the handling of the pandemic, that should have been enough.
Yeah.
The expenses, which we're going to come on to real quick, that should have been enough to get them out. But then you have, add on top of that, you got Partygate. That really should have been the final.
That should have been the one.
But it wasn't. And it's only now we've had this recent news about an MP, which is why he will have stepped out. But for you, Craig, when you heard about, because you mentioned about all these lockdown parties and stuff that was kind of Number 10, like, I'll talk to me. Like, what's going on with them? What's going on with Boris?
He's moving mad.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. He's moving
Definitely.
mad. I feel like it was very selfish. Like very selfish. Like he saw that we were suffering. A lot of people have suffered over lockdown. A lot of people are not able to go out. Imagine you being locked up in your house 24/7, not allowed to go out. You only can go to do essential shopping to get a few items here and there. I felt sorry for the elderly people because they need to get out, and they most of them couldn't be able to get out, so they suffered the most. And even the young kids as well from school.
oh god,
How can you keep young kids in the house all the time?
Bear in mind, just to cut you, sorry. Speaking of that, before I lose my train of thought, there was that time. Do you remember there was a thing on the news saying that they had shut down like a huge party full of like I think it was like under 25s.
Yeah.
And it was like
Was it
under
in
a
the park?
bridge.
Was it in the park? Oh, was it in...
Yeah, it was like under a bridge or something. They
Yeah.
they sent out messages on Instagram, Facebook, so that they could go. So they shut down that, but you're having your own one.
Having a jolly up as well.
It's just weird. It's like you're telling all
Just
the
turn up-
youth.
just turn up and party with us, mate.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And it's like you're telling all the youth to like go home, but you're out here,
You are
you know,
doing your own thing,
doing
Right.
exactly the same. So it was just really
Responsibility
sad,
and
to
all
be
that.
honest. But go on,
Hypocritical
sorry.
behavior and like people suffered. Even students in school suffered when they came back to school afterwards. They were way behind
Yeah.
the curriculum because
Homeschooling,
a lot of the parents were not able to keep up with the studies. A lot of
Studies
them
in
got bored.
demand, yeah.
I was at uni. I was in my final year at uni when lockdown.
Yeah, when lockdown was, as it was going through.
I was doing my final year, going to my final 2 years or a year, 18 months. I was finishing off it, and I found it difficult because when we were having lectures, I finished work and I'd go from work, go straight into my lecture, and I find it I couldn't concentrate because like fellow students were struggling with their kids in the background making noise and whatever.
God.
Yeah.
So for me to focus, it was difficult. So I had to make sure keep on it. I don't, and I was able to get my degree at the end of it, but it was not easy at all. So if it was me struggling as an older person struggling, how were the kids able to do it if they're, you know what I mean? So I understood how they struggle. So
God, man.
Yeah, and I think that's the sad thing, and obviously, like, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, as of recording, it's currently Saturday the 9th of July. As you may have been made aware, Boris is no longer. Well, he will eventually no longer be PM. He's in the process of stepping out of office. A lot of people are putting their hat in the ring to replace him. In fact, let me just name a couple of them. There's one in particular I want to get to. We're gonna pepper him, but we're gonna get there. I'll start with the fun ones. So Kemi Badenoch, who was the former Equalities Minister, she stepped forward. She's the one who dismissed the race report that was, or who published that controversial race report, which was a load of toilet paper, used toilet paper. I will add. We also have a Liz Truss, who is just really, I just don't know why she's bothering to waste everyone's time. We have Nadeem Zahawi, who is the current chancellor, who was only given his job 3 days ago. He got his job, and his first point of action was tell Boris Johnson to quit. So I guess he's been very successful in his endeavours. And of course, Sajid Javid is also running. We've got a Penny Mordaunt, Jeremy Hunt, who, for those who are involved in the health and education industries and for work, you know what he's all about. The less said, the better. In fact, his last name has been remixed several different times by a word that's not nice to say on the podcast, but I will not say it. But it rhymes with the word with his name. You know what I mean. It's. And of course, another one is Grant Shapps. Grant Shapps, who was unable to negotiate with the wonderful Mick Pratt. No, it's Mick Pratt.
Right, yeah.
Mick Pratt, who has been successfully leading these protests and these picketing against poor wages for transport workers. And finally, the man that I really wanted to take my time and talk about, someone who at one point in time, I have to admit, I was a big fan of. I did think he would be a great prime minister. I thought he was doing a smashing job. I thought I was lied to, confused, tricked, and bamboozled, hoodwinked, and all. Dishy Rishi, Mr. Rishi Sunak,
Not Rishi.
ready for Rishi, is also running after having handed in his notice from his job a couple of days ago.
What a name.
So, where do we be? Let's talk about Mr. Rishi Sunak now. What's very interesting about his whole campaign pledge is that a lot of people feel like, it's interesting. He's running for PM. Turns out he registered his domain back in December. Now, his domain name is Ready for Rishi, ready for the number 4 Rishi. He actually registered back in December, Ready FOR Rishi, as his campaign website. And if you type in either web address, it redirects to the current one, which is Ready For, which was registered in July, a couple of days ago, registered on the 5th or the 6th of July. He registered that domain name. So before he quit, he registered his own campaign website. I've seen the video. You might have seen the video of him, his little video talking about his grandmother and how she came over as an immigrant and, did really well thanks to this amazing British system, and, how his parents got their great jobs and helped him have a great education and all this wonderful, amazing story. I mean, props to his grandmother and his parents. They've done amazing for themselves. But let's not forget that this chancellor has put us in a very bad predicament. He's partly the reason why we have an issue of going to fuel. It's part of the reason why we have an issue with buying essentials. I mean, Lurpak is £9. Butter, it's £9 for butter. Lurpak is £9.
Since when?
This week. So, I think he has a lot of goal to be even considering running for prime minister. A lot. I mean, he's shameless. Who? I mean, hi.
He's got people suffering. I'm not gonna lie.
Suffering.
He's got people suffering.
I guess I'll start with you, Craig, because you were working during the midst of the. Because I mean, we're gonna cook Rishi. We're gonna cook him. We're cooking you, Dishy Rishi.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, I don't even know where to. Okay, let's start off with Eat Out to Help Out. Right, that was a great scheme he put in place to kind of encourage everyone to get into spending. Right.
Yeah.
What did you take advantage of it when it was around, and what did you think of it back then?
I didn't take it.
I didn't.
I didn't take it.
I had to save my pennies because I didn't know what was going to happen to us. Okay, I was scared.
I remember when after that happened, I used to always take my own food from home to work.
Same.
I didn't bother eating from the restaurant because my mom was saying to me the food might be the good after the whole. So I didn't really trust their food anymore for a while until everything was back to normal. Even now, I'm still a bit skeptical eating out a lot these days as well. So, but I feel that Mr. Rishi, dodgy Rishi, Del Boy Rishi. On a serious note, like he really messed up for everyone, man. Because him thinking, we thinking he was doing a good deed for everyone.
Yeah.
He didn't do a good deed for everyone. He did it for himself.
And I helped out there twice.
Yeah.
And like a damn fool I was.
He didn't help us. He didn't help none of us at all. So now, because of him leaving, it's like he did the crime, done all the dirt,
Didn't
and
pay the time.
dig the grave, and all of us are going to end up going in that grave because of him.
Big old grave. So all the time we're munching on our nice, cheap Weatherspoons, he's digging that grave hard.
I know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that was the sad thing. Like, yeah, we had it was a smart scheme designed to help encourage everyone to go out, spend some money, get the economy going again. But what was really interesting is like, I remember cases were we were almost there.
Yeah.
We were almost free. Eat Out to Help Out came. Flash forward to September 2020. Boom. Cases are back up again.
Get your booties back in.
You couldn't write it. You couldn't write. I was like, what happened? Why are cases back up again?
All the proceedings.
Oh well, and then they started blaming They started blaming young people. They started blaming the
That's
schools.
what I'm saying.
Blaming everyone. But what really happened? Oh, I remember now. Rishi Sunak said, "Go on, everyone. It's safe. Go out and spend your money."
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but if you're being cooked up for 4 months, not being able to go anywhere and see anyone or do anything, like go to the cinema or things like that. The moment I was given an inch where I was able to go out safely, going by all the procedures, and I know at the time when I was there, I wanted to try and I don't like the government, but at least try and give them the benefit of a doubt and try and have some faith in something like this. I really thought, yes, maybe, just maybe they might be doing something for us.
Yeah.
So fine, you have to want to try and believe in it. And then for them to come out and say, it's your fault for doing this, it's your fault for coming out and eating. We're like, well, then what more can I do? I've done my bit and tried to have a bit of faith in you. And you'll wonder why a lot of young people at a certain age are so combative when it comes to politics, and why they can't deal with confrontation, when they can't have conversation. It's one of the most decisive times in young people's life around. I'm talking 16 to 18, that kind of particular age, because that's that kind of age where you are figuring out who you are and what you're aligned to. And a lot of them, you see them, they're going, it's such a divisive time for them. I almost feel bad because it wasn't like that for us in our age, 16 to 18. It was relatively simple. Now you've only got to say the one wrong thing and you're doxxed forever, where they can't seem to have handled disagreements really, really well. And that comes from a lack of trust from their government. You want to have faith in the people that are running, but with what they're doing, and they blame you for everything, like you said, the thing with the bridge, like with the whole Eat Out to Help Out, and when they're still growing and learning things socially, they're not going to school for how many of a months, you're holding them back for so long, from the one point where they love going out to where they are now. They can't hug grandma, they can't hug granddad, and they don't want to go to they feel like their places are limited. So when they come to school, it's almost like that release of the things that they want to do. But it's like reality now that, you can go to a park, you can go here, you can go there, but they don't feel that because they don't trust you. Because they feel like the next day they might turn around and be like, oh, by the way, why are you doing this? Case is rising up. It's like, well, we have no faith. We have no guidance, no leadership. So, and, a lot of them still feel, from my experience working in the school and everything, I feel a lot of them haven't really recovered from it. A lot of them still feel like they're still there. Socially, they're still stuck in that zone of, not a comfort zone so much, but that kind of safety barrier where they feel like they can't go out and communicate what they want to say and things like that.
I can't even lie to you now. You've said that, yeah. I felt like that. Because there was, and I'm a grown ass woman. I felt like that when we went into lockdown. I'm an ambivert, but I'm extroverted.
Yeah.
And when we had lockdown, I ended up becoming a very reclusive and just introverted. Yeah, and that's not my personality at all. And then when we came out, and I work in a school as well, so I completely understand that. And I see the kids, and sometimes they have they don't know how to socialize, how they used to socialize, and they get a bit anxious and oh no, yeah. So I completely hear you.
Simple, especially the weather, getting out, go to a park if you can do all these things. I mean, even if you can't afford to go to all these fancy places, you at least have that. They can't stop you from doing that, and even during lockdown, they couldn't really stop you from doing that. It's just realizing that just. Never mind for your learning. Obviously, learning is massively important, but for your social health,
Yeah.
And growing up and dealing with these things, something that you're not going to handle when you're in your house all the time, is to handle rejection, to handle bad news, to handle, the things that you don't think that don't work out in your mind, in your eyes. They're about 2 years off where they need to be. And that's before you get to what they have to learn.
Yeah.
So again, they have to answer for that. You see these young people complain about how they're messed up, they're this, with disrespectful. How did they get there?
Yeah.
How do you reckon they got there? Through lack of trust from the government, where, you can't. Christmas
was a shambles.
Christmas
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know what I was doing for. If I was coming or going.
4 days.
I
was
completely
it
hear
all the
you.
way up to the 20? I think it was the 23rd, where they said we're in like DEFCON 3 or whatever it was called. And then they upped it to be like, oh, by the way, you can't leave your house for Christmas a day in advance.
Oh, you mean the Nando's Pro scale that they had for
I like
exactly.
Christmas. The one time of the year where you throw all things, you let all things go, and at least for one or a few days, you go see family that you haven't been able to see for a whole year. And, you have a great time together, great food, great memories and everything. And they try to take that away. Within a day's notice. A day. Why would they trust you?
Yeah.
Why?
Especially if you're family orientated. It's like, not seeing your family. It's bad enough you haven't seen them for like, I don't know, half the year because we've been locked down and stuff. And then you finally get that chance. You get so excited. You're like,
and they're like, oh, by the way,
guys, stay at home.
By the way, no.
Yeah, it's like, really?
And all the while they're doing that in their nice Christmas jumper with Granny and everyone in their flaming houses.
Yep.
Who's to say if they weren't doing that?
Exactly.
Government, mate. You've got a lot to answer for me because I tried. Oh, God, I tried. I don't like you, but I tried. Oh, God, let me down, man.
I think that's the sad thing. And I almost wonder now, even with all these like numerous names. I mean, for Rishi, he's not going to win. No. Like, Rishi, you're not winning.
Why do you think he's not going to win?
For me, it's down to one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
The expenses scandal. So, Chancellor, you said you quit this. Former Chancellor, I should say. You quit this week because you had your words were you don't agree with the direction that Boris has in regards to taxing and how to kind of get things back on track. I don't know what that means. I watched your little campaign video and I felt, are you not? I don't get how you plan to fix things. But anyway, whatever. Expenses scandal. So during furlough or during lockdown, he had furlough. So he gave all these kind of grants to businesses to help their employees and help businesses out as well. Some small businesses, some medium-sized businesses to help them throughout this time of not having any customers, not having any income, which was a great idea, great scheme, very fun. However, turns out, a little bit of digging, some dodgy contracts, some dodgy deals were done. People were getting contracts without being... Because what usually happens is if you want to bid for something, so say I want to be able to resupply, like, there's toilets in the tissues in this building, right? Usually a contract goes out to tender, which means that all of us in this room can bid for it. Normally, that's how it goes. And then the best bid wins. That never happened. The contracts never went to tender. A lot of them were just given to friends of friends or people who happen to know people. There was the amount of companies that had gotten contracts. They didn't even like the PPE stuff. They didn't even specialize in making that. Some of them were like, one guy was a pub landlord who got a contract.
What the hell?
Was he know about any of this stuff?
About health,
so that's kind of that was on his watch. And then the sad reality is that I think there was they lost billions of pounds because companies were registering, say they had employees, they never had no employees, and claiming furlough money.
I could have registered.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say yes for legal reasons, but it worked for some.
Yeah.
And they've not taken it back off them.
Oh,
People made businesses and they just took free money.
Damn, I should have done it.
So it's just, and so for me, that's why it's impossible for him to get out of it. And also when they caught his wife because she had not been paying tax for a number of years on her business because apparently she doesn't live, she lives in the UK, but she's not a registered citizen. So they call it non-domicile status. So you can have your citizenship in one country and live in another country. So even though she lived here, she wasn't a citizen per se. Okay. So she didn't have to pay tax at the higher rate. the Chancellor's wife, who was a billionaire, wasn't paying taxes. So because of that, it all came out. He apologized. Well, she apologized and she's offered to pay tax now. She pays tax now going forward.
So did she pay what she owed? Wow, the disrespect. But if it was us,
Yeah.
They would have locked us up.
Because legally she didn't own a tax.
what?
Legally she didn't own it because it's a little loophole that was made. So she didn't own any tax
Wow.
legally. But morally, as the Chancellor's wife,
morally.
it doesn't look good. And then now you want to become the Prime Minister's wife. I'm sorry. Rishi, you're out, you're fired. You're out the race. Don't even bother running. Just quit tomorrow.
It's like that woman back in the day on TV. What's her name? Anne Robertson. You're the weakest link.
Goodbye.
Exactly. So for me, he can't run. He can't. I mean, if he won, yeah, he can't win. What was really interesting is like I remember back in when the budget came out in the beginning of the year, I was actually talking to one of my work colleagues about this, and I had heard a rumor that because he announced the budget and no one was really happy because it was rubbish, right? Apparently, he had another plan, like an actual better plan for the economy, but it was going to hold off until 2023 so he could use it as part of his leadership run for PM. So I wouldn't be surprised if
he just
now
comes out of
he comes
nowhere.
out with some amazing policy. You're like, hold on a minute.
Slapping everyone with paperwork. Look at this.
This actually makes sense. Oh, you just came up with it just like that, and it's because of a plan. You didn't want to give it away to Boris.
Never will even. Always
And
leave
I'm
the
telling
good
you,
stuff
these
for
lot are
themselves.
sneaky,
Yeah.
Leaving the good stuff for themselves, mate.
Sneaky people.
That's the little hot tip for everyone. Just pay attention to his little campaign speeches and what he says. There'll be something in there because even in his speech he talked about patriotism. He talks about the economy. He said enough little nuggets that we think he's got a little plan. He talked about tax a lot, which is very interesting because I think honestly I think
we
the
pay a lot of
government-
tax.
We
We
pay
pay
too
a
much
lot.
tax, and I think right now what the government could easily do to help with the energy crisis is just tell the big businesses, okay, if you've earned a profit of over say 30% this past year, it's over 30%, we're taking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta take that. That's ours now, just to help keep the costs down.
Please do,
That's
honestly.
ours. That's what they could do. They should do.
You need to contact them.
Tell them, mate.
You get your little piece of the pie.
You plan this.
Just if anyone's watching this who works in government, I'm just saying, just tax them
moving
above 30% that they've earned as profit this past year. Take the rest. They can have their take the rest. That's all I'm saying.
1,000 for bills, man. Honestly.
It's a madness. But yeah, I mean, so this is kind of all the nonsense that Boris has overseen. Oh, there's also been a couple of rumors about another child somewhere, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Obviously, something to do with a child and a hairdresser. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, I heard he had a hairdresser. That's amazing. I mean, he got a haircut this past week. To be fair, his hair looked very good on Tuesday and Wednesday when he got grilled, and then by Friday when he quit, it was back to his normal, regular, usual.
I wonder who his stylist is. Must be Jamaican.
Don't do it.
No, I don't think any yardman is taking credit for that at all. We are not endorsing Mr. Seven Children Boris.
Some Jamaican right now at home is like, leave us out of this.
Leave us up, boy. We are on you for.
But I guess if with all of this, because obviously we've got the winter coming up. Like we've all seen that everything's going up. Like I said, Lurpak is now £9. Fuel is ridiculous. In fact, actually,
I can't believe it.
if anyone's a driver out there and they really want to refuel their car very cheaply, I've got a nice little tip for you. It's going to be hard to get to, but you can get petrol. If I can find it, it's currently £1.21. Yep. You just need to go over to Gibraltar. And it's £1.21 per litre in Gibraltar.
So it's going to be in Hackney somewhere, you know what I mean?
If you want to travel for petrol, it's £1.21. For diesel, it's £1.24. So just saying, like Gibraltar, it's not too far away. Just get on a ferry, top up,
take
get
your car,
cans, and then come back.
I'm done.
That's it, really. I think that's still. I mean, I might. I'm gonna look into that. I
have to.
I look into that still. But yeah, I guess the big question is like, how are we planning to navigate the winter? Obviously, there'll be no more Boris. We'll have a new leader. It could be. I mean, it might still be Boris. He might find a way to, like I said, it's not over yet. I don't think Boris is going anywhere. Personally, I feel like he's got another card to play. Dishy Rishi, you're not gonna win. So just give up on that. But what's your plan for winter? How are you gonna see it through?
I'm a hibernate.
Or coats, buy every coat I can
It's a warm
find.
country.
Hello.
Emigrate to a warm country.
It's a warm country, and then come back when it gets warm again. It gets warm again, you know. Like I'm going. Well, a lot of coats, if at this rate, and I'm going to get some skis, to work.
Ski tour.
Well, I'm moving to Watford, so I might as well have to, mate.
It's not necessarily gonna be snowing though.
Ski down in
Listen,
45. Anything that
you'll
stops
be
me getting
surprised.
Petrol, anything
Okay,
that stops me getting petrol.
they won't. They're not prepared for nothing. Why are they? They're not even going to prepare for the snow.
No, they're prepared for themselves.
Exactly. That's why.
They're
Yeah, he's
prepared for
right. We need
themselves.
to get skis then because they don't even come through with the thing and move the snow.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't. We're never prepared for snow. Never.
Yeah, we never. Well, of all the gritting and all this and all of that, we're never really ready for it.
That's a fair point.
We are prepared though. You know why?
Us are.
We get the salt.
But you know,
Snow chains.
You know what I mean?
Put the cardboard box from
Exactly.
the car. Out of it, man. Done.
But you know what as well? What could happen as well is that you might have to Well, last winter it didn't snow last winter, to be honest. Here in London, it didn't snow at all. So maybe
No, it did. No, it
we didn't.
didn't.
No, the year
Last
before.
Last year.
The year before, yeah.
before. So hopefully we get not a good winter where it doesn't snow. I'm hoping.
I'm thinking about my bills. That's
Yeah,
all
the
it
bills.
is.
So they're gonna.
thing.
They're
The cost
gonna.
of living is going to be expensive in the winter because the heat. Remember, right? If you've got electric or gas prices, has gone
Yeah,
up.
he said October. Did they say October?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
it's
when
gonna-
everything goes back up. So as soon as
Boy.
that
I'll go off the grid.
time changes, the heat.
I'm going to the Caribbean, mate.
Amish lifestyle.
Well, I mean, that's if you can get a flight. Have you seen what's been going on with the airports? It's a mess.
People ain't got their luggage. Their luggage is all scattered in Heathrow Airport, just chilling.
So you pay all that money to lose your luggage.
Yeah, basically, it's ridiculous. Absolutely,
It's a madness.
I'm telling you, England's going to the dumps.
Yeah, mate.
I guess what I mean. Look, I think we can all admit, like, we've had the Conservatives, the big conners, I'll call them from here on out. They have really messed us up the country a lot. It's really funny because historically, you always told that the Conservatives make money, Labour spends money. However, they haven't even made us any money.
No, they haven't. It's just
What
you know
is
what
the
it is.
point of that?
It's all chat.
Going on?
They like to talk a lot. That's it.
Waffling.
The
Pure
only
waffle.
thing we've benefited from there is Elizabeth line, and even that's not finished yet.
Elizabeth,
It's not finished. It's not finished. It's not finished.
I'm not even going to give them Lizzie line. They're not getting that. No.
They gave us the big hill in Marble Arch that came down after a year. True. About
It's like £3 million.
£3 million for a hill they bought down, and nobody liked it.
What was the point in this? This is what I don't understand. They spend money on unnecessary things that we don't even need and want.
Do you
know what I mean?
Need
was rubbish.
what they need to spend the money on is build more youth clubs for the young people.
Alive,
keep
because
them out
what are
of
they
trouble.
doing?
Those
We
young
had
youth
youth clubs. We had
We
youth
had
clubs.
loads.
I used to go to youth club back when I was
Yeah.
younger. It
Yeah,
was
put
sick.
some money
I
back
was-
in
yeah.
there.
Put
Exactly.
some money back in the youth and keep them out of trouble. If you have more youth clubs and more things for young people to do,
We wouldn't have these issues.
there'll be less
you
knife
build-
crime,
yeah.
less gun
Yeah.
crime, less drug. Everything will be calm.
If you
So,
build it, they will come.
Yeah.
They will come. Honestly, they will.
and more opportunity, like training opportunities for them. They could go to a youth club. They could study MVQ or something, and they could get a job or they get training. They could go into trade or whatever they want to do.
nice incentive,
something,
isn't it?
something to do. Not all this spending money on walls and stupid trains that no one's going to jump on. Or
Yeah.
after 2 minutes it breaks down. And you're stuck there for 20 hours on the. Oh, I'm
Exactly.
exaggerating, but you know what I mean?
With
Yeah.
the Lizzie lines that
Completely.
they haven't even completed the middle bit properly yet.
I've been on-
That's not happening until.
I haven't been on it, so I
Next
wouldn't
year.
know.
But it makes you question where your tax and all that is going.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Because it's like the amount of money that comes out of your account, like, and it's not even yours. It irritates me. You think that's your salary, and it's really not.
That salary could have gone somewhere really useful.
It's terrible.
That is a big issue. Like, our money is being wasted. It's not being stewarded properly. We've got a government that does what it wants, makes its own rules, and then quits when it gets too tough. A prime minister who doesn't believe in the quality of a good haircut, or telling the truth. He's been caught lying multiple times. But again, he is stepped down. He hasn't resigned, but he will be replaced.
He didn't step down. He got kicked down.
Okay, he got kicked down. Fine. But I guess the final question then is, like, we've all seen from, the last few leaders that have run the country, from David Cameron. I was going to call him his nickname, but I'll keep it PG for now. David Cameron, Theresa May, hips don't lie. She got a little dance move. And of course, Boris the liar. 7 kids down, 3 more to go. But, like, what would make an ideal prime minister? So looking at like the numerous annoying candidates that are running, what actually would make a good prime minister? Like, what values would you want in that leader? And I will start with you, Craig.
Someone who's honest and someone who cares about the young the youth, and cares about single family parents and people that understand, who come from not so poor background. Not to say poor, but like disadvantaged backgrounds, who can find ways how they can support them and find out help for the way they can help them and give them more opportunities, I would say. And for not only that, like graduates as well, for like give them opportunities, and people who are just trying to get into the world and get their feet into the water, something like that, to give them more opportunities and just to help them. And make them feel reassured that, you know what, I'm coming to power, I'm not gonna, all the things I promised, I'm gonna make sure implement them is gonna happen. There's just a better Britain, I would say. More diversity, more opportunities, and just a better country.
And for you, Zion, what would you say would be the leader that we need now?
I think it would be nice if they could, at least on one part, help people who have basically suffered for like nearly 3 years now, that have been made redundant, and people that are out of work, because I feel like they complain about people being on like benefits and things like that, but it's like you need to look at everybody's circumstances are completely different. People have kids or they don't have kids, or do you know what I mean? Like housing situations. In terms of housing, they've now decided to like people that these are like from things that I've heard, people that have been bidding on like houses and things for like years and whatever, they've basically been pushed back so that people from Ukraine can get those houses. So it's kind of unfair. It's like you're helping everyone else outside of the country, but you're not helping us inside the country. And it's like, I feel like if you live here, you should be helped first before everyone else. Yeah. And it's quite sad when you look at like what's going on around you, and like, I don't know, I just feel like they should work on that as well. Especially, and things that Craig obviously said as well, add into that. So yeah.
And for you, Matthew?
Well, first and foremost, just don't lie. Just don't, just don't lie, and, be the man or the woman to your words. And that's a first step. I think there needs to be a more faith in our politicians. We don't necessarily need to like them, but we do certainly need to trust them. First of all, we need to build that bridge back to where we can trust what they can say, and not lying is one of them. Also, whatever background you come from, whether in privilege or not as privileged, from probably more disadvantaged, to kind of have that general feeling of care for the people that you are responsible for. It has to come from a person who cares. Rishi, we've all seen it with Rishi, came back from his background. Turns out maybe he doesn't care as much as we thought we did.
But do you think that's because he's been in it for too long? Some people say once you've been in something for too long, you get so caught up.
Yeah, lost.
Yeah, and you forget who the hell you are. You know what I mean? Like,
he might thought he might be doing a good thing, but then remember the people he's actually caring for, because the people in his bracket are probably 5-10% of the country, maybe even less than that. Not everyone has the opportunities and the positions that he can get to. And second of all, again, going back to what kind of a Craig said, is look to the future, like the generations that are being born now, the young kids that are being born now, the world that you're providing for them, what can they do? They can't simply just go off to certain holidays and certain places every other time of the year. Yesterday, with my school, we went to a Wembley Stadium tour. Something as simple as a Wembley Stadium tour for a lot of these kids is probably never going to happen. And a lot of them saying how it was like literally the best day of their life. What about those children? Situations that the parents are really struggling, working really hard just to make ends meet. What are you doing for the kids? Like, what are you doing for those future generations? That's where you got to be looking to. As much as we are still part of that future, but we're getting older. It would be good to have someone. Maybe it needs to be someone a bit younger. Maybe the next person needs to be that little bit younger, because they might have more of a relation to them. I'm not saying an older person wouldn't do the job, but they're not going to understand someone growing
generation,
they're not going to understand growing up in what's like growing up now. I mean, I barely do, but maybe someone else might. I don't know. I think someone who's kind of future ahead, like like almost looking ahead of their time a little bit.
Yeah, like they think of the youth.
Yeah,
They don't
because
just think about, okay, here and now.
they have to, and especially all these net zero and all these environmental things we're looking forward to sustainability. They're going to have to as well. So I think someone who doesn't lie, someone who cares, regardless of what kind of background they come from, and recommendedly, I'd rather have someone maybe a little bit younger, but maybe a more experienced head, or maybe have the younger person as a deputy. Maybe as a younger person as the deputy.
That sounds good.
That might be a good way of doing it, because that way, they can, should they go ahead and get promoted, they could be the one to look forward to go ahead and run the country.
Yeah.
I like that idea,
That's a good idea, yeah.
You need that balance. I think right now, with a lot of the politics and politicians, they are quite a bit out of touch. Even the way how these resignations have gone. Like I said, the fact that Rishi thinks that he can still run. I'm gunning for you, Rishi. I'm just gunning for you. You are the main one I'm gunning for. Once you're out the running, I'll go after the rest one by one. But you, in particular, you should not be running. Have some shame. Have some decorum. Have some class. Yes. And drop out. Preferably Monday, 9:00. Sounds great. It'll be really good for me. It'll be great timing. I mean, today will be right now will be great, but obviously 9:00 Monday will be fine. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, we got a lot more to say about this government. We're gonna save it, but I think this has been a fun episode. I feel like we've all struggled through lockdown.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel sorry for people that went to uni during lockdown, because like you missed out on, honestly, first year, second year, being locked in.
I missed
uni first year is people that turn 21, turn 18, some people that turn 30.
Yeah.
It's been tough. Didn't get to celebrate properly. Anyway, better days are coming.
I hope so, boy.
Yeah, better be, yeah.
By will or by force. And if it doesn't get any better by winter, we can always embrace the French's philosophy. I'm not going to spell it out, but when the French get active,
they get active.
They get active.
So if we need to, you guys know what to do. Read, and I'm not endorsing any particular actions and activities, but all I'm saying is if we can take a leaf from the French, they know what to do. Think about it. Think about it. Their energy prices are normal.
I know, right?
Their bills are
shocking.
Normal. That's all I got to say. Thank you for listening to this episode of Conversations With. We would love to hear your thoughts on what we discussed today, and maybe you have a differing view to us. So please do let us know. If you're watching on YouTube, drop it in the comments. And if you're listening on audio, if you are on Instagram, you can DM us at Eightseven.uk. If you are on Twitter, you can reach us at Eightseven UK and just let us know your thoughts. Thanks again for listening, and see you again next time.